Thank you everyone for joining us at PiperFest for our session on the Piper Onboarding Framework. My name is Camille Martin. I'm a Director of Customer Success here at Qualified, and today I'll be joined by Lenny.
Great to meet you, everyone. My name is Lenny Tercios, Senior Solution Engineer at Qualified.
Awesome, and Lenny's going to be demoing for us a little bit later in the session. Today we're going to talk about integrating Piper, the AI SDR, into your go-to-market strategy and how to set her up to drive pipeline from day one. So when you become a qualified customer, you'll be working with your Qualified Success Architect, also known as your QSA, throughout the duration of your customer journey. So at Qualified, our customer success organization is a differentiator because of our whatever it takes philosophy to make you, our customers, successful. And this really begins with our implementation process, where we'll get you live with the entire platform in 30 days. We'll align with your stakeholders, integrate Qualified with your go-to-market tech stack, including Salesforce, marketing automation, sales engagement, ABM, and data enrichment platforms. And then your QSA will do all of the platform setup for you based on your unique requirements. We'll guide you through Onboarding Piper, complete testing, and go live with Piper meetings and offers first, followed by your human workforce go live with live chat as needed and signals. And this approach really focuses on speed to value, going live initially with the parts of the platform that don't require any human dependency to maintain for success. And so I know many of you have never implemented AI in your go-to-market, and it may seem scary and you might not know where to start, but rest assured that we have the expertise having implemented Piper for hundreds of our customers. So we'll guide you with our best practices and teach you how to do it. So for today, let's dive into step 5 of the implementation process, onboarding Piper. Based on our experience implementing Piper for hundreds of our customers, we've built the Piper onboarding framework that's comprised of 6 simple steps. First, we'll add Piper as a member of your sales team. Then we'll educate her with knowledge about your company and enable her on your specific sales methodology. Next, we'll evaluate her knowledge and provide coaching. Then we'll add Piper to your workflows and activities. And finally, we'll certify her to engage with visitors on your website. So let's dive into each of these steps. The first is adding Piper to your sales team. And the first step here is to give her a sales profile in Qualified. This is where you're going to bring Piper to life with a persona. So we've seen customers tailor Piper's persona to their company with a unique human persona like Piper or Nikki or Cleo, or an AI bot persona that's aligned with your brand, maybe a mascot like Little Red or Addie. And Piper's persona here will be used as she introduces herself to visitors that she interacts with on the website. Then you'll add a company description that lets Piper know which company she's working for. So this gives Piper context on the conversation she's having, allowing her to keep conversations topical and always aligned back to your business, products, and solutions. And then lastly, Piper is going to inherit access to your go-to-market systems via Qualified's integration platform layer. And she'll use this to personalize the buying experience to appropriately engage, qualify, and automate actions just like a human SDR would. Next, we are going to start building Piper's brain. So this is where we educate Piper on your company, product, and offerings. And we'll do this through content setup in your AI studio, adding online and offline content. For online content, Piper can crawl and automatically recrawl content from your website, like product pages, pricing, customer resources, to ensure that Piper is always up to date with your latest marketing content. And this also allows you to streamline your marketing initiatives. So you can repurpose all of the work you're already doing on the website into your AI SDR strategy, no additional steps needed. And then additionally, you can supplement your online content with offline content, such as internal sales enablement resources that you can add as snippets. And Piper is going to use this content that you set up to answer questions when having conversations with your website visitors. Next, we're going to enable Piper on your sales methodology. This is where you teach her how to become a seller for your business. And we'll do this through rules of engagement and goals. So rules of engagement are rules that Piper should always adhere to during every conversation. And this might be relevant if you have guidelines for how your sellers should always handle questions about pricing or trials, for instance. And then when it comes to Piper goals, you want to make sure that your visitors have the right experience based on what they're looking for. So for example, if a visitor is from one of your target accounts on the website, we want to give them the option to book a meeting or talk with your sales team right off the bat with those specific calls to action. And if a visitor is showing sales intent in a conversation, we can enable Piper to listen for those buying signals and trigger a goal like you see here. And in just a moment, Lenny will show you how you'll configure what happens when a Piper goal is triggered. So in these Piper goals, you'll outline the qualification and handoff process to sales that Piper should follow when a visitor is showing sales intent. So once a goal is activated, Piper's going to gather qualification criteria like email, company, other key qualification fields, maybe like employee size or industry. And then she'll hand off qualified visitors to sales by, for instance, booking a meeting with the right account executive based on your territory ownership, and then deflect disqualified visitors with the right message. So we've covered a lot so far. Let's see these items in action. I'm going to hand it over to Lenny to now walk us through these steps in Qualified's AI Studio.
Thanks for the pass, Camille. Lenny here. And today I wanted to walk you through the AI Studio found within the Qualified platform to understand how is it that we want to onboard Piper to act as your AI SDR. Now we can see here this top hand bar, this is going to follow that kind of same framework that Camille laid out, starting with those general settings. That's going to start with understanding what is your company description. Now this is unique because in the space of AI chatbots, many people are understanding how they can have certain content. And what we want to do at Qualified is have the description to keep conversations relevant and anchored to your business, therefore reducing AI hallucinations. Now, again, as we onboard Piper, let's understand that kind of persona based off your terminology, your marketing language, and as you want those different languages to be professional or casual. Now, that next step is understanding what is the content that we want to feed Piper. As Camille walked through, understanding that content starts with what are different portions of your public domain, understanding product information, customer stories that are relevant, competitive intel, in addition to offline material such as text-based snippets. This is crucial when you contain information internal for competitive information. Now, Piper has been onboarded with that company description, with that kind of persona that matches your marketing strategy. We have that content. Now, the big difference here is Piper is not just a Q&A bot crawling all that content and having different responses. She's going to respond differently based off goals for your go-to-market strategy. Now, this is truly unique because as we understand from Piper, we have a qualified understanding of different segmentation of, are you part of certain campaigns? Are you a diamond or a gold account? Are you coming in from an ad click-through? This is where we can understand an example here is maybe even if we're having discussion of pricing. From Piper, we're going to understand, again, pricing, costs, different plans are being discussed, but we don't just want to be a Q&A bot and regurgitate different information. We want to have that understanding of, are you qualified for the theme of bots are good at scaling and humans are good at selling? Meaning, should we bring in a human for this conversation? This is an example, again, from pricing being discussed, but we want to understand initially, is this visitor part of a target account? Are they part of certain segments such as ABM open opportunities? Do we know who they are? And right here, I'm looking at different fields such as company size. Now we can get granular here to understand different account signals shown from Qualified's own intent, understanding Salesforce information, your marketing automation, sales engagement, and enrichment. A lot of different sources to really understand what is your key qualification criteria to then understand what is that next step. Meaning, you're talking pricing and you're qualified. Guess what? Our goal is to bring in a human as quick as possible, meaning maybe route you to a live agent for chat. Maybe try to book a meeting because we're during off hours. Or again, the beauty of Qualified, bots are good at scaling. We don't want to bring in a tire kicker or someone asking for support to a human. So maybe we do recognize, guess what? You're unqualified, but we still want to maybe guide you through the website to different portions to maybe sign up for a free trial, understanding more about our product. Again, what is your go-to-market strategy for when you want bots to scale and when is it important to bring in a human? That's where AI goals is going to be a key portion when onboarding Piper. Now, again, goals are very important for those different levels of segmentation. That next kind of key step is understanding, even at a holistic level, at your qualified instance, what are some rules of engagement Piper should adhere to ensure we're matching your go-to-market strategy of how to respond. Meaning, from rules of engagement, let's understand at a Piper level, maybe never answering technical support questions if that's your support and deflection method. Meaning Piper here is going to direct them through help at Qualified. Or understanding this second step, maybe when pricing is being discussed, Maybe that first thing is to always mention pricing is highly dependent on each customer setup. We don't want to give pricing information straight out. We don't want to ever give out free trials if that's not part of your motion. And this is how we guardrail for an AI SDR to ensure she's having those rules of engagement at a holistic level. She's having those goals, when to bring in a human, when to continue uncovering those fields and write them back to your CRM. And then from that persona perspective, from that company description, she's not going to be having different hallucinations. These are those kind of setups we set up in the AI studio to ensure Piper is performing how you'd like the AI SDR to perform.
Thank you, Lenny, for walking us through that and showing how to bring some of these Piper onboarding steps to life. So at this phase now, we want to give you confidence in Piper's ability to handle questions from your visitors. So we're going to evaluate Piper's knowledge and give her feedback. And you'll do this in the AI scorecard. So here you'll add your top 20 sales FAQs and evaluate Piper's responses. You'll have full transparency into the answers that Piper provides with citations, so you can see which content was referenced to formulate her response. And here's where you may identify some need for content modifications. Maybe Piper's referencing a page on the website that's inaccurate or outdated, or maybe you need to add or edit snippets to guide Piper to a more specific response. As you edit your content, you'll rerun your scorecard to see Piper's improved responses, and then continue this process until you have confidence that Piper's responding to these questions just as well as your top SDR. Now, as your team is evaluating Piper's knowledge in the scorecard, your QSA is going to build Piper into your experiences and workflows based on your business requirements. So Piper can be added into your experiences to handle inbound chat requests and proactively engage with VIP visitors. We'll build Piper into your experiences based on how you want Piper to be integrated into your go-to-market strategy with your existing SDR team. So we can have Piper fly solo, meaning she handles all live chat conversations 24/7. Or we can have Piper work hand in hand with your current SDR team. She can work the front lines by handling all conversations and then handing off qualified visitors to reps to live chat when they're available during business hours. Or we can have Piper fill the gaps by only handling conversations when your reps are offline. Whatever your use case, we'll build Piper into chat experiences to work alongside your sales team. And then your QSA will build workflows that automate Piper's internal follow-up tasks after a conversation. So Piper can create leads, update fields, add visitors to appropriate Salesforce campaigns, notify users, and more based on your inbound follow-up process. And as you heard earlier, coming soon, Piper can follow up with inbound leads through Piper email, which will automate that inbound follow-up process even more. And then lastly, we're going to certify Piper to engage with visitors. We're going to test Piper on your website in a full end-to-end conversation. We'll validate that she's engaging with visitors as expected, she's adhering to your rules of engagement, she's listening for sales intent, then triggering those goals, qualifying visitors, following the right process for qualified and disqualified visitors, all while syncing data correctly to all the right systems as expected. And we'll test every permutation to ensure that Piper is handling each scenario just as well as your top SDR. Of course, this is an ongoing process, and post-go live, we'll continue to monitor Piper's conversations and refine messaging as needed to optimize her conversations to drive pipeline. So now I'll hand it back over to Lenny to walk us through some of these steps in Qualified.
Thanks again, Camille. So now we're within the scorecard settings for the AI Studio. Just a reminder, Piper's understanding what your business does. She's having those different goals to understand when should you be continuing to unblind, further qualify, and maybe bring in a human. And she's having those holistic rules of engagement to ensure she's matching your go-to-market function of how to respond accordingly. Now, the next step people are wondering is, for those individual responses, how do we ensure she's having that right pooling from that content? Now, in the scorecard settings, this is where you can maybe initially see that AI confidence, meaning your QSA is going to work with you to understand as we ask different questions to Piper to begin to test these different levels of responses. Are we confident that response is how we have it designed? Now, something else we provide here within Qualified is understanding. Let's have an understanding of that inbox, meaning that history of questions that have been asked. And we'll separate those by different categories, such as product, competitor, pricing. This is going to give just that initial jump start when different customers are trying to understand what questions they should be asking Piper. And then Piper here You can see here, we're giving those different levels of responses. And then you, as that human, is giving that kind of positive or negative feedback to see, is this those responses that you want to be seen on your website? So an example here, again, we can pull one right now. We can understand, how does your product help increase my pipeline? You can see this answer is accepted, as we do talk about boosting your pipeline by turning your website into a conversion powerhouse. Now, again, this response here, I can see it's referring to one of our customer stories, and it has that open-ended question at the end there. How does this sound for your needs? Now, again, we can add different snippets. We can understand right now the different citations that were looked at for this level of response, including different customer stories, such as one for own data. Now, this is, again, where we're doing that kind of fine-tuning to understand, Piper, are these responses that I enjoy? What has been pulled? Do I actually not want to look at certain information? And if this is actually a negative response, you know what? I can give that thumbs down and understanding this isn't A grade, this is more C grade. I only want A level responses. So as a result, let me give that rejection and then continue to provide feedback to Piper, which includes creating a snippet to improve this answer. So different responses, wasn't the right tone, wasn't the right information. Do I need to go back to our content or maybe add a snippet? This is that different level of customization we can provide to help Piper respond accordingly and follow those rules of engagement and goals. Now, again, this is that AI confidence. You can see it's dropped now to 75%, 3 out of 4. But just kind of for a live testing, let's see, again, the speed of understanding different questions and how we want to tailor those responses. So here's another question. How do you compare to your competitors? It's pulling from the content, including both information on your domain, public and offline material you've ingested as text-based snippets. And then as we have these different levels of responses, again, what questions? Maybe I pull them from the inbox to understand what are highly asked questions. That's how quick it is to understand. Here's a response done from Piper, highlighting a 400% ROI in just 6 months, done from different customer stories we relate to here in the citations. Again, another A maybe level response. Maybe again, we want to work with your marketing team, with your go-to-market team to understand, is this positive or negative? And if negative, what can we continue to do to improve those answers? Again, feedback loop so Piper can respond accordingly, respond correctly, and help for those next best steps with those goals. When do I bring in a human? Because back to that phrase I like to say, bots are good at scaling, but humans are good at selling. And you control that lever, how much you want Piper to be scaling and when to bring in a human. That next portion I want to bring here, as Camille talked about, is understanding what about those steps afterwards, those workflows perhaps. So one workflow I have here by an example is understanding leads that have been created by Piper. So bots were good at scaling. They were capturing new leads, understanding, unblinding, and as a result, what is it we want to push to your other go-to-market functions to continue to propel and help for your conversion. So an example here, we had that trigger of someone had a conversation with the AI SDR. What are we doing after? Maybe we're adding them to a Salesforce campaign. Maybe we're creating a task in Salesforce, understanding, maybe setting different visitor fields, which can kickstart maybe sales engagement, other marketing automation, other kind of workflows you design as part of your system, and understanding if we want to create or update a lead in Salesforce. Again, an example here for this workflow, but we're designed to be flexible to understand Piper. Can we further qualify? Can we have those level of responses confident in how we want to respond? And can we have those next steps afterwards done via workflows to help you in your go-to-market journey?
Thank you, Lenny. And there you have it. We've walked you through the steps. We've walked hundreds of customers through to implement their own AI SDR. As we continue to test the boundaries of what Piper can do with all of you, we'll learn together and publish all of our best practices and learnings on Qualified University. Thank you all for joining us today and enjoy the rest of PiperFest. We hope to implement Piper at your company soon.